What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for December 5th, 2022. Well, I'm glad to say we lost the bet. The Eagles definitely were more than 4.5, in some cases 5 points were the line better than the Titans. I think for the first time, I think they played a complete game. Even special teams looked good. Defensively, they were smothering and dominant. They shut down Derrick Henry. I don't even know what his total yards were, but I didn't see him gain more than like 4 yards maybe on a carry. Offensively, they were clicking, passing the ball, running the ball. Even the young tight ends were stepping up. So overall, good win. But as Andy Reid used to say, you don't want to get too high after a win or too low after a loss. But let's keep this rolling. Big game next week against the Giants. Looking forward to see what happens with that. They tied Washington, so I'm not really sure. I haven't had a chance since I was down at the game to really look at some of the highlights and things like that. So definitely we'll dive into that and see. But overall, we moved to 11-1. We take it. We're that much closer to clinching a playoff spot. Let's move on. Good win by the Eagles. But today, we're going to stick with the Eagles, but we're going to go the opposite end of the spectrum. We're going to go back to 2005 today, and the Eagles got shut out 42-0 by the Seahawks. They turned the ball over 6 times. This was the year after the Super Bowl when McNabb was banged up. I don't even think McNabb played in this game. They had just come off that T.O. saga. They were the Super Bowl hangover from losing the year before. It just was a hot mess of a season, and this game kind of epitomized what that entire season was about. The one bright spot of this game, and I would be willing to bet, because I know I was one of them, most people left after the halftime festivities, but on this day, the Eagles retired Reggie White's number 92 jersey, and they did it against the Seahawks, who were legit. They were the Super Bowl team from the NFC that year. So they were a good team, but they did it because Mike Holmgren was Reggie's coach when he left to go to Green Bay. So it was kind of a nice thing for them to do that way. His daughter sang the national anthem. It was just a fun day. I do remember being a little annoyed with the way they did it, and just because they kept playing this or showing the same package of highlights in between timeouts over and over. And I would have liked to have seen more variety because, I mean, Reggie had a very, very good career in Philly. But it is what it is. They did finally take down that when they redid the one corner of the end zone. They did take down the banner they had put up, and they hung his number in the rafters, which was nice. But let's like Reggie though. I think this was one of the guys I obviously grew up with, so I had strong feelings for that team, and specifically Reggie. He was probably, other than Randall Cunningham, he was my favorite player. I just remember being so disappointed and upset when he left, but understanding, I was starting to get the sense then that, okay, this is a business, and at the time, Brayman was a cheap owner and things like that. But I think if you never got to see him play live, YouTube some of his highlights and just see, because I mean they're just incredible. Just the way he would manhandle one, two, sometimes triple, three offensive linemen and just throw them. I think though, watching him live and being able to see him in person multiple times when they were in training camp in Westchester, he was just a beast of a man. But he was a gentle guy. Like he was a minister and everything like that. So he was definitely just a gentle guy, but he was huge. And I mean, he had 124 sacks with the Eagles, 198 overall, which is second all time, 2 behind Bruce Smith. But just some things to put how dominant when he was in his prime, or even before he was in his prime, how dominant he was. He has that 198 for second all time. He played 2 seasons in the USFL. So he missed out on 2 years worth of sacks he could have gotten. He also, in 1987, because of the strike, they had played the 3 games with the replacement players and the 1 game that was canceled. He missed 4 games there. And he had 21 sacks. Think about that. 21 sacks in 12 games. The NFL record for a 16-game season, T.J. Watt did a couple years ago, 22 and a half. Reggie did 21 in 12 games. he would have had probably 25 sacks that season easily if he had not missed those 4 games. So it just goes to show just how dominant he was. And it is nice to see him get the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, it wasn't with the Eagles, but he did get his Super Bowl. But he just was an incredible person. This is like I said, one of my all-time favorite Eagles players. I talk a lot, I've mentioned a couple times about when I got to meet Jerome Brown when we were at the autograph signing, but we had the choice, and obviously I chose Reggie's autograph. So we waited in line and didn't get the as long of an interaction as we had with Jerome Brown, but we still got to meet and talk to Reggie White, which was huge. Like, for me, it was one of the highlights of my young Eagle fan life, was being able to meet Reggie White in person, have him sign my card. I know today everything you have to get things authenticated and things like that, and that's great. I'm never going to sell that thing anyway, but like, to me, the authentication of it is me being there, looking at him saying, "Hi, how are you?" talking with him about the season and everything like that. That to me is the authentication. So, on this day in Philly sports history, the Eagles lost to the Seahawks 42-0, but that doesn't really matter because the big story was the Eagles retired Reggie White's number 92 jersey that night in a ceremony where his family and everybody was there. He had died, unfortunately, the year before. So just one of my fondest memories, being able to see my childhood hero for the Eagles get his number retired on this day, December 5th, 2005. Big win for the Birds. Looking good. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but like I've been saying, this is new Philly, so I think they're legitimate contenders. So we'll see how things shake out. Dallas looked good, but again, the Colts aren't that good. Matt Ryan's terrible. He's just terrible at this point. So should be interesting because now Jimmy Garoppolo is out for the season for the Niners. So I don't know how much of a contender or serious contender they are anymore. So it's the Eagles, Dallas, and Minnesota roughly. Got to watch out. Tampa Bay could be sneaky in there, but I think it's the NFC East year. And ironically, they were picked to be the worst division in football. So anyway, go have yourselves a Monday. Go Birds. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.